love, we take action.
Because if I can do it, I promise you any of you can do it. There's no question about that.
If you want your present to be better, your future has to be bigger.
What is happening, Honey Badger Nation? Albie, what's good, brother?
Hey, Johnny.
How are the things in the 21-6?
Well, raining. Raining and cloudy, but it's not snowing. So the gap in the gain, I'm living in the gain on this one. It's not snowing. So
there you go. There you go. Absolutely. Gina, how are you?
I am fabulous. How are you all?
Fabulous. That's awesome. Well, appreciate you making the time, jumping in with us. And, we're going to definitely, help you, have you help us kind of unpack what we want to chat with everybody about today. But, for everybody kind of tuning in, if you have any questions or comments, throw them in and we'll unpack it. Kind of going back to back. We usually change things up, and Kinder and I power hour. But we're going a little back to back with the little Honey Badger Nation Q&A. So, Al, let's kind of frame, the conversation and really, why we have Gina joining us today, around everything that's kind of related to increasing headcount. It's just one of the beliefs, right? If you within real estate, if you want to escape working with buyers and sellers, you have to increase headcount, either within your production team or building an organization, a sales organization, to where you create, that ultimate leverage to where you are able to escape and focus on, more important things. And I just of the belief that the only way that you can escape is that you've got to have proven systems and processes in place to be able to help you get there. And I know it's just kind of what we were chatting about before, we hit live. I mean, you're back in training, back on the basics, back on the fundamentals. Even at the level of success that you've had, that doesn't matter. So, I mean, yeah, let's dive in.
So I'm not a fast learner, John. I need to hear things multiple times for them to set in. And I can just tell you this. So, we have the 10 by 10 training that Jay recorded probably 3 years ago, and it's fire. I told him that. I was listening to the whole thing on the way down to Columbus one day. I got a 2.5 hour drive or close to that. And I just listened to the whole thing. And obviously there's a lot of updating. So part of this, today, we want to communicate to everybody that if you've downloaded the app and you start going through the training, we're going to be inserting some updated training into there, which is what prompted me to watch the 10 by 10 again. The principles have not changed. That training's gold. But there's a lot in there that we're talking about expert mentors, the old tool, the old application that we used to use. Obviously that has to be replaced. But in going through that this morning with Kinder, what we really kind of assessed is that I started going back through Mike Reese's agentattractiontraining.com. And there's no reason to make the 10 by 10 again, because Reese absolutely crushed that. And it's just good. Like we get a lot of the same questions. And I think I understand where the biggest problem that people have is like, okay, well, where do I start? I'm going to tell you right now, if you have not gone through agent attraction training, you just go to agentattractiontraining.com. If you haven't gone through that and really, really gone through it, not skimmed through it while you're, watching social media on your phone or watching Netflix or whatever. Like I'm saying, like blocking out 2 hours, and it's not even a 2 hour training. It should be probably about an hour. But if you're going through it methodically, if you're actually going through the steps, if you're actually doing the action items at the end of every module, it's going to take you a couple hours, but it's gold. And then I'm going to recommend that if you've gone through it already once, I've gone through it twice. This is my third or fourth time going through it. Go through it again. If you haven't watched it, go through it again, because I'm just starting to see, I added 6 people. It's about reminding, we've talked about this too, John, like you've you've done dozens of presentations, and we've talked about it because you're like, man, I've done that presentation, and I've done my presentation, the one that I do. And then we start saying, well, but I think everyone's heard this already. And maybe some have, most probably haven't, but we have to, as human beings, hear it over and over and over and over again. It's like talking to our kids. We're the same way. We need to hear information over and over and over again and have multiple exposures before it starts to become unconsciously competent. When we get to that fourth stage of, we don't have to even think about it. It's just natural. We have to, that ain't going to come after one exposure to an idea or one exposure to a system that you're supposed to be working as a professional.
Yeah,
right?
100%. As humans, we need to be reminded more than we need to be told.
Yes.
And it's just one of those lessons that you have to, it's a principle. There's truth to it. So you've got to, don't fight that. And there's a couple really good sayings that I got it from Ryan Holiday. Essentially, no man steps in the river the same place twice, because the man is different and the river is different. And so that's the same thing with when you go back through things that you think you have a firm grasp of, because we only pull from whatever it is we're doing based upon our current situation, based upon our current reality. And so, testament to you, Al, right? When you went through this in, early on when it was being developed and being built to, the size of an organization, one of the top 10, at EXP organization size, just you personally, don't even throw all three of you guys together. It's not even fair. Is that you're different now. You have different perspectives, different viewpoints. So when you're going back through that training, you're pulling something different out of it that's helping you and also reminding you, because it's like, oh yeah, I could go deeper here. So it's really that important to understand it. Don't fight it. And Vern, just one of the many lessons Vern Harnish taught us was, have a handful of rules and repeat yourself often. And it's the same principle applies, is that have a few core things that you go deep on and go deep on it often. And so it's been really, really key, those two trainings to go back through. And so Gina, for you, kind of getting in, and I know we're going to kind of, lead into talking about, the tool. But for you, from a training perspective and diving in and going through things, I mean, kind of share your process, your journey, as increasing headcount and building an organization.
All right. So I came into this with a background from recruiting. I was a team leader for another company twice over, and I brought into it all of that. And it took me, what I needed to do was sit down and learn the systems here and learn the processes and learn how it all plays together. And I'm not even there yet. So I'm constantly going back and setting things up to dig deeper and to learn more. The next model I want to really dig into is I want to dig into stock and rev share. I want to learn those two things really well. So I did that. And then for me personally, I looked at I don't know if it's going to answer your question or not, but I'll tell you what I did. I looked at what systems are broken and what's not broken yet. And as far as broken, it was email, phone calling, what else? Snail mail. It's all just broken. I don't have the network that other people have because I've moved cross country doing that other role. I've moved cross country a few times. So I'm in Florida and I have zero network out here. So I had to look at other ways to go about this. The thing I didn't want to bring into it is the thing that I really disliked when people were trying to bring me on, which was, do you know about EXP? They have register. And then they would never call me back again. And I'm like, I just don't care. I don't care. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you're calling me, and I don't care. So I wanted to look at something that differentiated me, who I'm with, the team, and what we do. And I wanted to leverage what I had, which is my coaching company. So I went in and leveraged that and those relationships and what I already do, which is coach agents. And that's really kind of the direction that I decided to go in and go build this. When I originally built it, I had to test it. I chose to test it. I tested it for about 9 months and I A/B tested every single thing that I did. And I just kept on going through and refining it until we were finally pulling the kind of people that we wanted to pull. And I did that in Florida where I live. And once I pulled the kind of people that I wanted to pull, then I could take it and slowly open up to other areas. And now we're attracting about every phone call that I get is a good 85% of the phone calls that I do get now are people that align up exactly with who we are and what direction we're going. So again, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's kind of the process that I went through and what I brought to it.
You mind if I ask a quick question? So
again,
let's just go a little bit deeper, because it's not about what you're describing kind of on a higher level is what worked for you or what is working for you. And I wrote down, you're leveraging your coaching company, and said differently, that's really the value. You have a value proposition to the market, to your ideal person. They call it ideal client profile, but who that person is, what their problems are, and how your value proposition can help solve that. But not everybody has a coaching company.
True.
People that are listening to this in Honey Badger Nation, some of them are selling 5, 10, 15, 50 houses. They're working their tail off. They're out there, but they're doing lots of co-brokes. Maybe they're going to networking events. Maybe they're going to the local board events, women's council. There's all these different ways where they're having collisions with real estate agents, but they don't have a coaching company. So, how can others leverage the principles behind what you are doing that's working, that might be listening to this using the tool?
Gina, before you dive in, I think what Al, I'm hearing you say, and I want everybody to get this, is that everybody has an audience. Everybody has a community, and it could be small, it could be large, right? And so when I heard Gina say, hey, leverage my coaching organization, I heard that's her community, that's her audience, that's her people. And she has a value proposition of how she creates, delivers, and captures value to her community. And so to me, that's what I want people listening in to talk about there. So Gina, dive in a little bit deeper there on the actual, what Al is kind of, asking, really what are those, mechanisms, the how-to, I guess, really, of what we're talking about.
All right. So the how-to part, I'm going to step back a little bit. When I didn't have my coaching company, what I did, would that be helpful too?
Yeah, everything's helpful here.
All right. So the first thing that happened with me one time when I was a fairly new agent is I was doing a cross deal with a guy. We had just gotten into contract, and he said, I want to meet you for coffee. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm way too busy. Like, I'm not meeting anybody for coffee. And he's like, no, I really want to meet you. And I just kept blowing him off. And finally he told me, he said, look, if the deal goes south, I find that it helps if I just have a relationship with you and we can just talk about it. Can you please just have a cup of coffee? I'll buy it. I was like, you know what? He's right. Deals do go south. And so I went and I had a cup of coffee. And for the first time, I learned the importance of having relationships with the agents on the other side, because I never had done that before, ever. I was always taught the agent on the other side is the enemy, stay away from them, et cetera, et cetera. And so I went and had coffee with this guy. That deal went really smooth. But the next deal that we got into, it was a new build. I actually worked for a builder at that point. And about 4.5 months into the new build, so maybe 4 weeks before the whole deal was ready to close, she was done with him as an agent, the client. And the client contacted me and said, I want you to be my agent. I'm like, I can't do that. You don't understand. You need to stay with your agent. But it also, because I had this great relationship, enabled me to pick up the phone and say, hey, look, there's problems. You got to circle your person back around again. That would have been a very uncomfortable situation had we not had that history and that friendship. And it was the beginning of me understanding why you want to be in relationship with the person on the other side of the transaction. Fast forward, I then had a team, and Michelle on my team was the best recruiter on my team. And Michelle had what she called Coffee Fridays. And so what Coffee Fridays were, it was her favorite day of the week. She took somebody out for coffee in the morning. She took somebody out for lunch. And in the afternoon, she hit the wine bar or maybe coffee again. So she had 3 appointments every single Friday. And she brought people over out of relationship. And that again was the beginning of teaching me where I just really learned from this person about the importance of being in a relationship with someone on the other side. And I learned whether the deal was great, thank you, it was such a great deal, I want to, sit down and meet with you again, or whether the deal sucked, that deal sucked. And the only thing that held it together was the fact that you were decent on the other side, and thank you. And I would get together with the people, and then I didn't really learn how to close or do anything like that. I just learned that something would happen at some point where your broker would piss you off and you would come to me because I was your friend. And I saw that over and over and over again. So it was the beginning of really learning to build in those relationships. And we can all do those. Even if we're only doing 2 or 3 units a year or something, and we haven't built up the business the way that we want to build it yet. I mean, the average agent does 5. That's still 5 good opportunities to talk to people, in addition to talking to 5 loan officers and 5 home inspectors and 5 everything else, to be able to nurture those relationships for when things do happen. One of my favorite lines that I heard, and I'm kind of skipping around the map a little bit, was a guy said, you're not going to change my world if you come into EXP. I'm going to get $2,800 a year off of you. Like, it's just not going to change my world. But my business model will change yours. And I truly, truly believe that. I believe that our business model will change yours. You were talking earlier about passive income. I had a big, huge team. I had all that. We had 85 listings in our active listing inventory. I was listing 10 houses a month. The team was selling another 8 or so on their side, short sales. So it was a while, the train had to get moving and all that. So it wasn't like if you had 85 listings today, you'd be real busy. When I stopped, I ran my team for another 1.5 years cross country before I sold it. But even the way that I sold it, I still, one day the check stopped, and they're going to stop. It's just the way it is. In building this, the checks don't stop. It just doesn't. And the model is completely different than the models that I've run across. Like, one thing I didn't understand, you guys do this really cool thing that if someone drops out, you guys put a placeholder in there and you hold it to maintain the integrity of the model going down. I didn't understand why that's important. Can I say, like the other company? Can I talk about that? Okay. So I was KW. I was promised that if I had, and I don't mean to, I'm not dissing them on any level. They were awesome. They taught me amazing things, and I'm really grateful for that.
Great company.
Yeah. But their business model, their profit share collapses. And I never understood the importance. And I thought that's what you actually want. But now that I'm out of it, and I'm watching my profit share collapse from 130 people to now I'm at 82, and I'm doing the math, and in 2.5 years, I won't have any. I now understand the way, the thought process that's gone behind this business model. So again, I'm kind of all over the map, and I know I diverged greatly from your initial question, but there you go.
Okay. I love the concept of Coffee Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally something anybody can do. And I want to unpack that a little bit, because again, I don't want to just necessarily talk about a high level concept, but exactly if they get off of this, today's month, what is today? Tuesday?
Yep.
I could actually set this up this week, and it's so easy. It's kind of like the Buffini thing we talked about, John. He had a concept of party your way to the top. This is Coffee Fridays is very similar. You set up a coffee with one person, a lunch with the next, and a happy hour, or however you want to do it.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty easy to do. I want to just dip a little deeper though. So let's say that someone loves this concept, they want to do it. How do they, when they're done with this presentation, this coaching call that we're doing right now, what would they do if they were to pick the phone up or use their app even, and go into their top 100, assuming that they've identified their top 100, top 50 people, and invite them to coffee and lunch? And if they do successfully get them there, what do they talk about, and what don't they talk about?
Well, don't vomit EXP, or someone else told me you don't EXP all over everybody. And I'm like, yep, true on that one. So I always tell people, like, this is kind of weird because I'm on the other end of this, but I'm like, I'm boring. I just want to know about you. Like, what's going on in your life? What's going on with the kids? What's going on with the family? What's going on with your business? What are the pain points? And then, what are you struggling with? What does it look like? What are you looking for? Where do you want to be in a year? The easiest thing for me to remember when I first started doing this was I took people kind of through a timeline. So tell me, if I don't know them that well, tell me about like where you come from, like what you used to do. And once I know what they used to do and I can listen to what they're talking about, I know really quickly. Actually, now I know the personality types well enough that I know the second you walk in the door and I can tell what you're dressed like and how you present yourself, what you are. But if I don't, I'm going to dig into what you used to do, because it gives me a richer understanding of what they bring to this industry, because we all bring something from what we used to do. So I start with the past, what you used to do. Awesome. So tell me about what you're doing now. Like, what does it look like? What's your business? Where do you get your business? What's your lead source? What's your database look like? Are you mostly buyers, sellers? Are you a good mix? Are you a team, solo agent? Like, what are you now? So first the past, and then where are you now? And then where do you want to be in like 5 years? Like, what's that look like? Or 10, or whatever out there is. And then, so like what's between here and there? And that therein lies the pain point. And that's what I want to dig into a little bit with them, is what is between where you are right now and where you want to be. And what do you want to do to get there? And I'm not going to close. I'm just going to dig, and I would rather just ask questions than I would much rather just let them hang there, because our brains we don't like it. When someone asks me a question and just lets it hang there and I don't have an answer just like that, and I have to sit there and ponder, it'll play here for days after I met with that person, until I'm finally back on the phone or a text going, all right, what you mean by that? I had to think about that.
Yeah. Love it. What I wrote down while you were talking, and it was because I just went through the agentattractiontraining.com from Reese, is he talks about the Ford method.
Yeah.
So, have you had experience, and did you use that methodology when you're meeting with people? And in case anyone doesn't know, Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
I hit on it. I don't use it as a mnemonic memory device, and I probably should, because it's such a good crystal clear one to make sure you're covering the entire person. Because the concept is behind it is that I don't just want to hit you on business, although that's personally my favorite topic of conversation, but that you're really hitting them as a whole human being, so I can really dig into who you are and how you're wired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you don't talk about work in EXP and you focus on, like, let's say the family or the recreation, like I wasn't a car guy, but I sort of became a car guy. So like a lot of the agents in my market that have fast cars and are into that, we have, it's a recreation piece that it's something that we can talk about that has nothing to do with real estate. Have you found that when you do get a face-to-face meeting and you start talking about the other things other than work, that they end up coming around and asking you, bringing it up to you? We just had an experience with an agent who was at my old Remax office, and he's a dear friend of mine. And I know that, we were like, hey, let's go to dinner. And he's expecting us to meet, me to talk about or ask him about EXP and working that. And then I don't. And inevitably they start asking me questions and they want to make the meeting about that. Have you ever had that experience?
All the time. All the time. I don't like going in and leading with EXP. I never liked leading with the other companies I work for either. I really care a lot more about who you are as a human being and what direction you want to go, because I believe that all opportunity lies in a who, not a what, not a how, not a when. It's there might be some when in there because your eyes can't see it until you eyes can see it, until you're open to it. But it's who's. And I believe that with the right who, you will go really, really, really far. And the rest of it will fall into place. And I learned that because I was with an ownership group that it was the perfect situation. And I succeeded really well there, but it was a nightmare group to work with. And I mean, a nightmare group to work with. And it was just mentally stressful. And then I was with another ownership group, and it was a nightmare situation. And there's no way you should have succeeded, and did, even up against like crazy, stupid whats and hows and odds around us. But the ownership group was amazing. Matter of fact, he's in EXP now. It's Rick Jiha. I worked with him. I don't know if you all know him or not, but
yeah,
a friend of mine. Yeah. And
love Rick.
I do too. I love him. Because the group's so amazing, it didn't matter the situation that it was. I was with really good people. So it's all a who, and I'd rather go into the who of who they are and what their pain points are.
It's a relationship game. That's what, we've been saying it since we moved over, right? And that's why, I believe the Honey Badger Nation is as strong as it is and as big as it is because it's a community. It's a real community around collaboration. And I always kind of joke, when people are coming over and I'm like, what you believe is the most valuable reason why you're moving over won't be the reason that you see the value in the future. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you'll see the value in the community more than you will anything else. I said, the business model will change your life, but it'll change your business. The community will change your life. And so it's all about connections. It's all about the relationship. It's all about the community. It's all about the people.
Yep. I've got a friend who says it's not transactional, it's transformational.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, you want to dig into rapid funnel a little bit?
You took the words out of my mouth. I'd like to know, kind of like putting it all together. You, and we should have introduced you at the beginning of this, just assuming that everybody should know who you are. But Gina, like, start out just in 30 seconds, give us the elevator, like who you are.
Yep.
And obviously you were a team leader with Keller Williams twice over. Mm-hmm. And you moved over. Tell us a little bit about that, but then lead into what do you love best about the tool? What's working for you the best? And again, going back to what could people literally like swipe and deploy today? What would you do when they hang up from this call and they get into their app and they download it and they start going, what would you tell them to do that's working best for you?
Got it. All right. 30-second elevator speech. Started in real estate in 2007, right when the market tanked. Very grateful for that. Team, KW, twice, coaching company, cross-country moves numerous times. Gary Wilson, the head of our team, actually used to be one of my agents in my office, and that's how I met Gary. So that's kind of how I came in. Gary called me up middle of COVID rioting LA mess. We were getting ready to leave there, and he said, I still want to work with you. And we just always been friends for, 10 years. I'm like, you know what? Now's a good time. Let's do it. So that's kind of how I came in. And then on the team, people ask me all the time, they're like, well, what do you actually do? Because I work referrals, but I more coach. And so I'm like, I'm chief vision officer. I don't care. Pick something. Doesn't matter. So I do more of that. I really work with our agents in pure residential on getting their businesses launched, moving, or they want to build a team and they don't know how to. And I know how to do that really quickly. So that's kind of what I do. As far as this app, y'all came along at the perfect time. And the reason why is this. I am, I have no issues making the initial phone call, connecting with somebody, bonding, all that kind of stuff. When I did real estate, I cold called 1-year-old expired listings. That's what I did. And part of what I considered to be my job, well, my only job, actually, my job description was lead generate, bond, negotiate. That was pretty much it. And the bonding part, I learned how to do really quickly and really well. So on this with Rapid Funnel, I had no issue making that first phone call. I have no issue diving in deep and getting to really know that person. But then after we've talked a few times, then what? Because then I'm like, and that thing that you said in the very beginning, Al, is that people have to hear it, over and over and over and over and over again. That's the part I was struggling with, because I was like, what do I do? Call up and say, hey, how you doing? I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel normal or natural or anything like that. And so I was really looking for a follow-up system and how I was going to build that out and what that was going to entail. And then a Rapid Funnel showed up right in my lap. I was like, holy moly, this is it. And so we played with it for a while. I tried, initially, to be really honest, there was a contest and I was going to win the contest.
You did.
That was flat out it. I know. That was flat out it, though. That was my only thing. And so I just kind of psychologically went, if I just sandbag everybody up and don't put them in until the last week and a half, I can nail this. So I did. I loaded everybody in and then I waited. And originally, I really was, it was stupid because I really should have my eye on bigger picture. But I was like, I'm going to win a contest. So I told people, I'm like, hey, I'm in a contest. I want to win it. And that's how I got the initial responses going. But then After I won the first one, I'm like, all right, chill out. We really need to make this thing work. So I started playing with when I would put people into rapid fire and when I would start the contact to see when I would get the best responses. Because again, I want to win again, but I want to do it the right way, long-term, build my business the right way. So I found that if I put them in rapid funnel really quickly, that they wouldn't respond at all. And in what we do, when I bring somebody over, I get an initial half-hour phone call. And then after that, I send them an email with some information and follow up, or ideally I get them set up with a half-hour call with my upline. So usually Gary, sometimes I'll go a little further up. And then we do, for that phone call, it's more just like a get to know you. We talk about all kinds of things. We don't really show them stuff yet. We just talk and kind of get to know again who that person is. Ideally, then it leads into an hour Zoom where we're showing them our tools and what we do with our team and all that kind of stuff. Ideally, then it goes to an application phone call, which, by the way, when I do application now, which I didn't used to, and I lost a lot of people, I do a Zoom. They're on the other side. They're filling it out. And I tell them, I'm just here to answer your questions. You're going to have questions. So that's ideal. So where does Rapid Funnel fit in? Rapid Funnel, I try to, after the first initial, before the phone call, I try to put them in there. Nope. After my first phone call, nope. After the first one where they met my upline, then they're ready because they want more information. And by golly, I do too. So that's when I put them into Rapid Funnel at that point. And then they responded every single time now. This go around has been them responding with, and I start with the survey. Hey, can you do this really quick survey? Da, 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 da. And then they'll fill it out, and then we go and we get the next meeting set up. That's been really effective. And what I love about it is they're self-paced with how fast they want to go through the information. And all they got to do is keep on clicking next, next, next. And it will keep on doing it. So all I have to do is watch this to see who's got, the highest amount of points sorted out by that, in addition with the follow-up calls that are set up in there, and just start, touching bases with those people. Hey, what'd you see? What'd you like? Da, da, da. If I can't get them between the hour Zoom with my upline and application, if I have a hole right here and I can't get them over to this step, then it moves into invite.
Let me stop you real quick.
Yep.
Because people are trying to keep up, and I want them to get everything out of this because it's gold. Before we do that, because I want to back up to what there's a methodology called the bridge. You built a bridge from where you started with them in that original conversation, which one way that we talked about was using the Ford method, whichever method that they want to use, and you bridged that to the survey. Before we get into that, because I want to unpack it and let these honey badgers know. If someone asked, where do I get the app? Go to thehoneyBadger.app. I wish we could put that somewhere up on the screen, but it's
scrolling. I'll put that in there. I'll change it up.
Scrolling? Oh, that's okay. So the URL, yeah, we can change that out, John. We changed it to an easy, because that's such a long URL. It's thehoneyBadger.app. Thank you. Awesome. So let's talk about that bridge, Gina. I want you to back up a little bit. Sorry, but it's gold, and I want everyone to get every ounce of the gold out of what you're saying here. What's the bridge you use to get them from, hey, we're having this nice, warm, fuzzy conversation. We're building, rebuilding the relationship, trust, re-engaging them to, hey, would you do the survey?
Okay. So that first initial warm phone call, tell me about, which literally is, I start off with, hey, before I get started, is it okay if I just ask you a few questions first? And it's very takeaway. And I almost always get a yes. And then I'm like, awesome. I just want to know about you. I want to know about your business. I want to know about, what you used to do. Is your business mostly buyers, sellers? Do you have a niche? What is that? And then I just get them talking. And once I get them talking about their business, I again take them from the past. This is what I used to do, and this is what I'm doing. Then I'm like, so where do you want to be in a year? What's that look like? And now I know what direction they're going. And between those pieces of information, and I can pick up on their personality style, then I know how to talk a little bit about our company, coaching, the kinds of things that we do. Then I do the bridge to get them from there to a call with my upline. Again, is very takeaway. So I'm like, after I get them talking, I'm like, it's a lot of information. So what do you want to know? And then I let them ask questions. And then I will say, so, all right, awesome. So I don't mind. I mean, if you want, I can hook you up with a call with, the guy that's in charge of everything, our whole entire team if you want. Or, I can send you an email, or I can just, never bug you again. Like, it's up to you. And I really do, but it's very, very takeaway. And they almost always want to talk with the big guy, And so that's the bridge to get that phone call. On that phone call, Gary's pretty much my upline's doing the same thing, kind of digging into who they are and their business and all that. And then the bridge there is we don't sell or tell anything. So the bridge there is, if you want, I mean, we don't mind. We can show you everything that we do. I mean, if you want, again, it's so takeaway at that point that they're always like, yeah, I do want that. And so that's when we set up that next appointment to really, we Zoom and we really dive into, we show them all kinds of stuff on the back end. Look, this is how this works. This is where your training is. This is NAEA. This is this is that. And we just, wherever they want to go, we just show it to them. Everything. I mean, we're wide open. And it's in between those two that the rapid funnel comes in with getting them built into there so that I can get their information in there. And I'm moving them. What I'm really doing is I'm moving them from a colder platform, if you will. I feel like rapid funnel is a very warm platform, and they're in control and they get to move as fast as they want. So that's kind of the bridges in between those. And then the other bridge after we do that call where we're showing them all their cool stuff, is this something that you like? I mean, is this something that you're interested in? Yeah, awesome. You ready to get started? And that's my closing question for that one. And then perfect. You want to know what the process is? And we're going to, get together. I'm going to set up a Zoom. We're going to do this together. I'm going to walk you all the way through it. And then what I do personally, I don't know if I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And you guys can bit me out if you want to, but I think onboarding is a bitch. I think it's really hard, man. And because it was so hard for me, and I'm proactive and all that, I am with you. I give you one point of contact information, and that's me. I'm like, you're never going to know who to talk to. You're not ever going to know what to do. It's totally cool. Just call me, text me, smoke signal me. I don't care. And I'm going to point you and teach you where everything is. And eventually you'll know it all. Like, you'll know exactly what to do. And so that's what I do. I sort of babysit through about 3 months of onboarding. And it's not like every, day. It's once a week for the first few weeks, every other week, and then maybe every 3 weeks. And then they're usually pretty settled and good and running,
Awesome. Yeah. And on the onboarding note, there is a file section in Honey Badger Nation. Just go up to the top when you're on the home page of Honey Badger Nation, the actual Facebook page.
Facebook group. Yep.
The group. I'm sorry. Go into files and scroll down, and you're going to see there's Tracy's checklist for onboarding that you can use when you're onboarding somebody. For anybody that wants to download that's in there for you.
Perfect.
Also, there's kind of an advanced app. It's actually a website that can be built out, and that's Branded Agent University, where it walks them through the onboarding process as well. If somebody is interested in that, just message me or John, or we'll get you connected with Jeff.
100%.
So that's amazing. Gina, you had something to add?
Yeah, we also built a Trello board, and we use Trello. And if anybody on your team is interested in that, we have a blank that we'll send out also to get people kind of up and going, to be able to track them as they're going through the process.
So when you say a blank Trello board, I'm not that familiar. I've used it maybe 3 times. Is that something that you can like copy and paste the link and put it into, like the comment section here? Or how can we get that to the people listening?
I would if I had the brains to run it all, but I actually hired a VA cyberbacker, and she runs everything.
Okay.
I can put in my email or my phone number. Well, let's do my email, and you can email me and we'll send you that link out. So I can do that.
Okay.
Cool. And I love this because I'm literally writing down tons of stuff that you guys are telling me to make sure I go here, go there, go here, go there. So thank you.
Yeah. And Al, the Honey Badger is, you said the honeybadgerapp.com.
Yes, it's the kind of like the Ohio State Buckeyes, but it's the honeybadger.app.
.app. Got it.
Yep.
So I think we were having an issue that we were trying to get it fixed. Oh,
We lost Al.
Oh, there he is.
You're back.
So yeah, so the link is not working correctly just
Oh,
yet.
it's not?
Um,
So I punched it into my phone. It wasn't working. When I punched it into my browser for Chrome, it worked on my laptop. So
Gotcha.
that might be something that Holly has to make a little adjustment to. But I did. I just tested it out. honeybadgerapp.com, and it goes right to Rapid Funnel, the Honey Badger our actual page that they can download it.
And while you're doing that, I guess my one thing that helped me out more than anything else is in between is just use our tools and invite people in between getting to know them and them actually wanting to come over. Don't bomb them with stuff. Just continue to invite me. I saw this cool class and I thought of you, and just continue to invite to more stuff, because eventually the right kind of people will get the idea of like, this is where I want to be. They have the tools. I can't tell you how many times I've heard I learned more from you in a day than I learned in a year where I am. Well, there's a reason for that. You know, you can learn more every day if you want. Come on over.
I'm going to put your, I got, there's the app URL kind of scrolling down on the bottom, thehoneybadger.app. And then there's Gina's email address.
Yeah, I'm testing it. Safari, for whatever reason, on my phone, it wouldn't go through, which is weird. I'm testing it on the Chrome on my phone, but when I did it on my computer, it went right through. So maybe there's a glitch with the mobile piece of that URL, but we'll get it fixed right away.
Yeah, worst case, if you go to rapidfunnel.com and then you download the app and it's just Honey Badger. That's the keyword to get in there. So there's multiple ways to get there. If you're still struggling and can't find it, just message one of us and we'll make sure you get to the right location.
In other words, just go to the App Store, John, search Rapid Funnel. It's a green app. And I think one of the first things it prompts you to do, it asks you for the organization, and that would just be Honey Badger.
It's a great app. I'm really glad you guys built it. It gamifies what it is that we do anyway. And it just makes it so simple. You can tell what they're looking at. It's easy to follow up. Hey, what'd you think of this? What do you think of that? How you doing? So.
Yeah. And there is a wizard that you can use when you have the app open. You click the wizard and it'll allow you to import names that are already in your phone right into the app. Now, obviously, if you have, let's say you have a name, John Lynch, I'm just making a name up, and but you have their phone number, but you don't have their email, you're going to have to add that obviously into the app. There's an extra step there, but if you have complete contacts in there, it will upload as a contact right into Rapid Funnel. And here's the cool part. I just found this out today. It won't allow you to do any less than 5. So 5 is a good number if you were to set a daily goal. Anybody can do 5. We all have probably literally dozens and dozens and dozens of real estate agents that we've met that are in our phones. If not, and you're a card collector, if you're still collecting the business cards, this is the opportunity to get them into your phone and get them into the Rapid Funnel app. The cool thing is, as long as you put their contact in your phone, you use the wizard and you don't have to re-enter all the data twice. It'll just suck it right in. Like I said, it's a minimum of 5. This morning, I put 6 new ones right in there. And the message I'll share with everybody, here's what I sent out. The one guy, Michael, I used to, when I was still in sales, I did a ton of co-brokes with this guy. He's just a great real estate agent, good person, and good team leader. And I bought one of my own personal houses. It was his listing. So we have, a bit of a connection. And I just said, hey, Michael, hope you and Laura are doing great. And the kids everybody's great. Hey, and then I put a little line space in there and said, hey, if I sent you a quick 1-minute survey, would you mind filling it out? I'm doing some market research. It's whatever's in the app. I just add a little bit of warmth to that text. And I sent that out to 3 or 4 people. They're like, yeah, sure. Send it over. So it's just one thing everybody could do right now. Anything else you want to add, John?
No, I mean, the biggest thing is, and, Coach Bert's been hardcore on this lately. I know he's trying to get adoption into, his online platform, but, it really is. I mean, he's so spot on. You know, training is not something you did; it's something you do every day. And so really looking at, you know, if you're really committed on growing that organization, and realize, guys, I promise you, everybody listening to this, at some point in your life, you'll want a revenue stream that you're not dancing for, right? You're not the dancing bear. Meaning if you don't dance, you don't get paid. And so are you doing the things now to build that? I saw one of Stuman's, I love that guy. I saw one of his posts. He was talking about talking about building content, and, you know, he's talking about that, you know, 10-year, right, of just staying committed. And he's one of the best copywriters on the planet. Yep. Because he writes every day. And if you want to be great at anything, it takes time, and you just got to get in, and you've just got to put in the work, and you've got to do the things that nobody wants to do, and you just do it over time, and that's how you get there. So agentattractiontraining.com, you know, get into the rapid funnel tool and just trust the process. That's the biggest thing that I can just emphasize, is that don't try to entrepreneur it. Just follow the process. Trust the process. It's a proven process. We modeled it after one of the best, you know, network marketers on the planet. And so just trust the process. Get in, go through the training, trust the process.
Love it.
Yep.
Thanks for being on, Gina. This was huge. And I think that if anyone listening that listened live, you're going to want to listen to the replay, take some notes on it. There's a ton of great takeaways from Gina. And the best part is that this isn't theory with Gina. Gina's rocking it in real life and seeing the results on it. So just remain committed, remain consistent, trust the process, like Johnny said, and we'll see you at the top.
Or from the top. Gina, thank you. Albie, appreciate you, brother.
See you guys.
Thank you so much, y'all. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Appreciate you.
See you.